Yo, what's up, everybody? If you haven't heard about Anchor, let me tell you, this is one of the easiest ways to make a podcast. First of all, it's free. Second of all, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit the podcast right from your phone or computer. Third, Anchor will also distribute for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Then you can also make money from the podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Later.
Welcome to the Morning Sanity Check, where we talk about the different pillars of resilience: spiritual, physical, social, and mental. Join us so we can talk about it, then be about it. Let the show begin.
Good morning, everyone. This is your Saturday Sanity Check. My name is Seth.
And I'm Kamille.
And hopefully you guys are still sane. How you feeling, Kamille?
I'm doing really good today. It was my I get a good break, I'll say, from work between now and when I leave. So I'm excited about that. It's a good week.
Good week. Yes. I can dig that. And hey, good morning, everyone. If you're tuning in, make sure if you can't leave your comment here, if you want to leave your comment here, make sure you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Okay, you have to give them rights to do that. But good morning, everyone. Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Matthew, how you doing? How's everybody? Well, my weekend, it is Saturday. See, I'm losing it already. But it's okay. It's all right. I took my daughter to the aquarium this past week and just walked around, and I think we're searching for a little bit of normal, even though we're walking around with masks and people were there, but we still keeping that social distance. And when we see people that want to crowd around to what we're looking at, we say, okay, cool, it's time to go. And we're just gonna look at other stuff. Hey, Miss Kim, how you doing? Good morning. So again, everyone, we're talking about freedom from shame. Ooh, wee. Yes. What you think about that, Kamille?
Well, I just want to first shout out to my friend Holly. I see Holly on there. She said she finally was able to get on.
Hey, so Holly.
Hey. Matthew, Kim, everyone else who is tuning in right now. I just want to say thank you. So last week, Seth and I were talking, and we were talking about, different issues, as we often do after these shows. And we were really talking about shame, and realize that it's an issue a lot of people deal with, that they are still struggling with even in their later years, trying to figure out how to let go. And so we decided to do a segment on freedom from shame. And I had to go through it myself, hence the conversation, to release myself from certain things so that I can move forward in my life, because shame will hold you back. It will hold you back like no other. And so there's a whole process that goes along with that. So we just want to share some thoughts on, being free from shame on today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this segment, and it's coming straight from the heart.
Straight from the heart. And guys, if you can, guys and ladies, if you can, please share this. This, because Miss Holly said, or her son is sets free, and we need that, right? This is a great topic. But we need to make sure we pass this on, because if we're going through it, other people are going through it. But just think about the freedom, the different type of life individuals can have by being honest with themselves and identifying. So I will start and just dive into it a little bit. One of the first things when it comes down to shame is being able to ask ourselves, not necessarily other people in the beginning, because you have to really think about, okay, why do I feel this way? Am I going to the same individual or the same environment that's, I guess, fostering that shame inside of me? So I need to go somewhere else, or, really look at my surroundings and the individuals that I associate with to, kind of identify some things, say, hey, Kamille, this is what I'm dealing with. What do you think about that? So what you say about that, Kamille?
I think absolutely identifying it is the first step. Sometimes other people can see certain things in us. We have these feelings that arise when we feel shameful. And I'm just going to talk about that because that's really important. And it's that kind of deep-seated embarrassment, that kind of humiliation that you feel every time you think about something that happened, or think about an event or someone or something like that, that just years later just makes you just cringe, like, that shame. And shame really has more to do with feelings of unworthiness, feelings of, I'm undeserving, I'm unlovable, I, don't have what it takes. It's an I thing with shame. Where guilt, people get them confused. Guilt is I did a thing. So instead of I did a thing, it's I did a thing. It's easier to recover from guilt because you can make amends for whatever that thing it is that you did. You can go back and apologize or make your wrong right. But with shame, it really is an internal idea of who you are. So it really is, it's a little bit harder to overcome shame. So I just wanted to make sure that we get that out of the way, because like you said, you have to identify those things. And you have to know where to look in order to release the shame. And it's not in the thing, it's in you.
Absolutely.
And there, you have to have the right people around you to help bring all of that stuff out. So.
Absolutely. So I want to say good morning to everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Miss Danielle. Good morning. Glad you're watching. And we're talking about freedom from shame. And so you said something that made some sense, right? If, let's identify those things and knowing the difference between shame and guilt. And what I've experienced in my young age of fabulous and 40, is that if we sit on it too long, those individuals that we have issues with, they may have passed. You see, and what happens is they pass and it's dropped and they're gone. See, yeah. So we can't necessarily confront or to say, hey, this is what I felt. It may not be right, or it may not have been your intent, but this is what happened and this is what it's done to my life. Yes. You see, now, if those individuals aren't around anymore, ladies and gentlemen, then please make sure you tune in and comment. But what do you think about that? When someone is long and gone, it can be your mother, great grandfather, or someone that has placed something deep rooted in your heart, even at a young age, and you're still dealing with it today. And let's be completely honest, it can be colorism, right? Let's say someone in your family lighter than you, and when they see you, you're just a black one. How do you think that could affect a man or a woman? Oh my goodness, right? A woman or a young lady in the age where no one is telling her that she's beautiful already because of society, but someone that's in her family called her the black one. Think about that. And that's just a small case. What about if you have, weight issues and your little child, hey, little fat boy, hey, little, get over here with your little fat self. Okay. It's cute for a minute until you get, like 2. Then that's after, push back from Mickey D's, you dig? But that still hurts individuals. And so it's one thing to feel bad, but it's another thing to hurt and to take that, and it becomes toxic. You understand? It really becomes toxic. So Kamille, what would you think about that as far as individuals that's no longer here?
So with individuals that no longer here, like I talked about, the shame really is in the I. What the seeds they planted in you may have caused you to feel, like I said, unworthy to overcome or make shame. You feel like I just wanted you're not beautiful. And so you internalize that. And so then it becomes reconciling within yourself, especially if the person is not there. Identifying where it came from, that shame or those feelings of guilt or whatever it is that you have, recognizing where it came from. But the only person that can heal you is you, with the help of God. but you have to do the work. So regardless of anybody, you have to find something in yourself that says that I am beautiful, regardless of what somebody said. Or it doesn't matter that I'm dark skinned. I'm still worthy of love, just like anybody else. And so it's not that other person's responsibility. It's nice if they will recognize that, or if they will admit that and try to make amends. But even with apologies, the damage is done. And so even if somebody says, I'm sorry, you still have to deal with, okay, they said I'm sorry, but those feelings don't automatically change. Just because you said I'm sorry doesn't mean I'm beautiful today and I was ugly
Absolutely.
yesterday. Or I'm
Absolutely.
skinny today and I'm not today. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I
And
understand.
so you have to find those attributes in yourself, those characteristics in yourself, those things about you, and you have those words of affirmation, some counseling, things like that. People that surround you that say that I am, and you have to practice that thing. Say it out loud to yourself so that you can hear it and internalize a new message
Mm-hmm.
about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always, somebody can apologize or that person can say whatever, but you still have to do the work. You're still stuck with the damage. So you
Absolutely.
have to repair that.
You're right. And let me give some shout outs too. I see Miss Nisi Gold. How you doing, ma'am? How you doing? And Miss Lily Wilson, she made a great comment. She says confronting someone doesn't always lead to an apology and might even bring more hurt if the person is still a mess. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Because again,
Yes.
some people, ladies and gentlemen, it's still SOS, and I don't know if this your first time watching, but SOS stands for stuck on stupid. My mama told me that a long time ago, baby, listen, you can't, have conversations with individuals that's stuck on stupid because they will do what? Fight you to stay stupid. Not said
Man.
they are stupid, but they will fight you to the point where they're not trying to hear what you're saying. So look, again, let's talk about shame. If individuals, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about freedom from shame. So let's talk about what shame can do to your life. Meaning, what can it hold you back from? It can hold you back from loving someone. How can you give someone that you don't have? How can you give someone something that you don't have within? And I mean that pure love, not conditional. It's unconditional love, right? How
Yes.
can you do that if you don't have it within? So that's one thing. Just self-worth, right? Just self-worth at if it's already at an all-time low because of what has happened in the past, what else is it preventing you from doing? Maybe doing the best that you can at your job because you don't think that you are worthy enough,
Yes.
right? What you think, Camille?
I say it says to that point, in doing some research about it, and I'll tell you about a story I had with a young man who, like I said, after all of coming into the military and everything, he was having some issues, dealing with some things. And I said, well, if you lose this job, then what are you going to go back and do? He said, well, I don't know, maybe sell drugs or go to jail because that's what all my family did. My father said that I would never be anything. I would have to do something that works with my hands. And I'm like, what? And so he was dealing with this low self-esteem, low self-worth because of that. So as I'm talking to him, I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do? He starts telling me, and I'm like, so why can't you do that? And he's like, well, because my dad said, okay, so you're a grown man, you can make decisions now. So we have to work on undoing some of that stuff. But anyway, in terms of, y'all know I like to look up, what that thing actually does to your body.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of that, to your point, shame is something that is deeply internalized. And in turn, you can suffer from things like shame and guilt have two different things. So, like I said, the guilt is the did, and you can make amends for that thing or turn it around or whatever. Shame is much more deep rooted to the point where it causes like inflammation in your body, right? So it causes RA, rheumatoid arthritis. It causes cardiovascular disease. It's more associated with substance abuse, drug abuse, overeating, like obsessive disorders and things like that. So obesity, things like that, because people are trying to stuff and hide. They're avoiding things. They're trying to ease the pain with outside substances, whether that's food or, like I said, alcohol, nicotine, whatever it is, drugs or whatever. So it also does a lot of damage to your body if you don't confront that shame, if you don't deal with that. And a lot of it comes from childhood traumas. So a lot of it comes from a single event or something that somebody was very close to them and said something. So physically, it will wreak havoc on your body, wreak havoc. And like King said, to his point, that shame puts you in a mental prison.
Mm-hmm.
It literally does. A lot of the behaviors associated with them are avoidance, are hiding, are withdrawal, are isolation,
Yes.
which is literally a prison in itself. And so if you don't release yourself from that shame, you don't identify it, you don't dig deep and do the work, you will be in a mental prison that will keep you from doing everything that you ever wanted to do. You know, you'll never realize your purpose. Or even if you start something, you have something that says, okay, I'm just going to go out and do it. That shame will tell you that you'll never succeed at it.
You're
And therefore
absolutely right.
people quit.
You're
And
right.
so when people start to do stuff and they start quitting, it's not that they can't do it. It's a mental prison that they're in that is keeping them from realizing their full potential. And so you have to deal with that. So I see that a lot of times at work and in different things. And so I step back and I have those conversations. So what is it really about?
You're right. Now, about to dive into something a little bit different, but before we do, I want to give a shout out to James. What's going on, man? He made a good comment and says it cause serious issues in your marriage and relationships with your children, if it's not taken care of. Absolutely right. And Matthew says shame brings sickness. Yes, Big Herm. You already know what it is. And ladies and gentlemen, please share this because it can help people. All right. And look, and it's free too. Stop being stingy, right? Y'all getting all this goodness and y'all ain't saying anything. And so shame will affect your destiny. So here we go. We're going to talk about something, same thing, but on a different scale. All right. Good morning, everyone. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about freedom from shame. So watch this. Here it is. You are dealing with someone, either at work, in your family, whatever, that's dealing with their own shame. Can you dig it? But to the point where they deflect that shame on you when you did not have a problem with you until you got with this person, or now this person is in your circle. You understand? But it happens so subtly. You see? Because if you think about it, let's say, for example, all right, I can lose 15 pounds. Okay. I'm still going to be sexy. You dig it? But I can lose 15 pounds. It's okay. Now, it's mild because I know that's what I want to lose and I know what to do to lose that. But now I'm either A, in a relationship, or B, at work, and I'm surrounded by individuals that think that 15 pounds should be 20, should be 25. And it's so subtle. Okay. Oh, well, you could, but they don't have an issue with me per se. They have their own issue. And now shame can be contagious, just like negative energy. So think about that. I mean, go way back. Think about if you ever experienced that, and give me thumbs up, anybody, if anyone has ever felt that way. Right. And then so like Casey, he made a good point. He says, don't forget, shame brings envy and hate. Yes. And yes, King, you're absolutely right. No one wants to serve a prison sentence alone. Yes. Misery loves company. But we have to think about it for a minute. Take a step back and ask yourself, hey, is this issue mine or is it truly theirs? But what we do is we attach love to those words. And then we say there's no reason why they would say those things to me unless they love me. You get what I'm saying? It's either that or let's take it out the house and take it to work. If a person is saying this, they're telling me this because they see something in me that can help me advance. You see? And now you have this going on in your mind. And then, like you said earlier, to your body. And now you're putting unnecessary stress on yourself when you were okay in the beginning. Kamille, what you think about that?
Well, that's when, and it does the work to know who you are so that when people say things like that, you don't internalize it so much. But that's a process. And it's really about, when you're with people who you love you expect they're going to give you words of affirmation or positivity and all that kind of stuff. So when you're around that a lot, and you continue to hear that, it's not that you just take it on, but you internalize that. Well, this is what they really think about me. So that, you can stand to lose 20 pounds instead of 15 means that I'm fat.
See.
Or I don't have control over the way that I eat, or I have no discipline. And so we internalize those things differently, based on what we're exposed to. And so you have to really confront that head on. If I lose 15 pounds and that's all I want to lose, that's all I want to lose. If I want to lose 20, then okay, I may help ask somebody for help. But at this point, I know who I am enough that that doesn't bother me. And I'll tell people where they can go, whatever. But at the same time, if you don't, because shame creates such a deep sense of self or a lack of self-worth or self-esteem, that you're trying to get those that acceptance from people,
yes.
Whether it's your work or whether it's your family or whatever. So you're like, okay, and we become people pleasers. We become people pleasers, and then we're never at any sort of and that's why you go into isolation and those prisons, mental prisons and things like that. If I can just avoid everybody, then I can just, nobody will say anything. I don't have to live up to something. I don't have to put any energy to try to be better than anything. I'll just stuff. But then we start dying quicker. We start, having all of these medical issues that we can't deal with. But it really is, you have to know yourself, and it's a process, which that whole thing, when you feel those feelings of embarrassment, that not just I'm embarrassed a little because I did something, but that deep embarrassment, that deep humiliation, that every time, whether it's 30 years back, you think about it, you literally cringe and you're like, oh my God, I wish I could have changed that. I wish I would have done this differently, whatever. And so when people say that, you attach it to those events too, that confirm what you already been told, that you internalized about who you are. And so it becomes a vicious cycle. It becomes a vicious cycle. So you have to identify those things so that you can break free from them. We'll talk about how to do all that later, but we're constantly seeking validation from people. Like King said, nobody wants to go in prison alone. You know what I mean? So misery loves company. And what we find we deal with is a lot of people who are dealing with shame, but they're good at hiding. They're good at hiding. They may have a skill that they, they're really, really good at, so they don't have to show people who they are. Their work will just be what it is. And then they project all of those things, their feelings of inadequacy, on somebody else. When somebody else is trying to do something good, now they're going to tear them down, instead of encourage them, oh, you can do more because I still feel inadequate. And because you lost 15 pounds and I didn't, now I'm going to be like, oh, that's it.
See,
you need to do more. And so we have to know how to ward that off. Well, if that was my goal, then that's my goal. Crushed it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, moving on.
And so that's why it's so important. But so my brother, he said something that was good too, very powerful. Shame can have you reevaluate your decisions in life when trauma occurs mentally. Okay, you may have been comfortable in your skin, and now you're second guessing yourself. You see, and it is, you're absolutely right. But shout out to you, brother. That makes a lot of sense. King, words have greater value than money. Slavery was built off shame. Yes, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Ms. Lily Wilson says, I highly recommend the book. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yo, this book, Lovable. Woo. Yes. Especially those dealing with shame. It gets to the root of many of our issues and a must read. So, and we've read this book, and it was so dope, right? It's called Lovable. Here, I put it up here again. Lovable. It's very, very, very powerful because it goes back to what I said earlier. How can you give what you don't have? How can you give what you don't have? It makes so much sense. But we don't know what we don't know, right? But we have to realize when we're doing something that is toxic to other people, even ourselves, right? Not just ourselves, but to other people. So let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. And good morning again to everyone, especially if you're just tuning in. Make sure you share this, right? This is the morning sanity check. Make sure you got everything screwing right. right? Nothing loose, right? It's nice and tight. But think about what you say to yourself. What are you saying to yourself that's either changing your results or enabling your results? Right? Like we talked about earlier, it is the things that it's words. Words are powerful. How powerful do you think they are if you say them to yourself? No one is saying some of the things that you are believing. Come on now, think about it.
Internal self, that internal self-talk.
Right.
Difference, right? So a lot of people, when you're doing it consciously, you want to say the things that you want to hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it takes getting still.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It takes that time in meditation or prayer or whatever, or just being quiet in your thoughts. A lot of people are afraid of their thoughts.
Yes.
I love thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I love thinking. Okay. But a lot of people are afraid of their thoughts because they're going to hear those negative things that they've been said repeat in their brain, that they say repeat in their brain. But that's so important because you have to know the narrative that's going on in your mind so that you can change it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what to change. And that takes being still and being quiet and hearing what you really say about yourself.
Absolutely.
You have to. And a lot of times you'll hear that I'm not worthy. I don't deserve love. And so relationships and stuff, because people don't take the time to do that, you can't give what you don't have. Like you said, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't feed from an empty pot. We get in relationships hoping that another person will fill us up, but our own demons and our own mental, or self-talk, negative self-talk will chew that up, spit it out, and then we still begging for more. Because we haven't changed the narrative in our own minds. So we have to sit and we have to hear that thing, or else we'll never, ever, ever have good, healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
Because again, you cannot give what you don't have. And if you don't know how to love yourself, it's going to be really hard to love anyone else.
And to add to that, not only is it going to be hard to love anyone else, it's going to be hard for them to love you. Look, because you got so much stuff going on, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to really think about your current situation right now. You see, your current situation. Think about it. Are you lovable? Meaning, not necessarily lovable, but easy to love. And that not obviously in the sexual manner, right? Or erotic way. But do you give off the energy that it's okay for people to love you or to be around you? You see, do you give off that welcoming vibe? If you have issues with people, is it the issues you have with people, or is it an issue that you have with yourself that's creating that vibe with people? You see what I'm saying? Because you got to understand, everything that we feel can radiate outward. It starts in here. Look at the core. Listen, everybody don't got the issue. Look at the common denominator, right? It's like math. You dig it? Look at the common denominator. What is it that may be going on inside that's creating the results that you seem to see in everybody else? Shout out if you ever said, everybody always blank. Hey, whatever it is, I get tired of people always blank. You see? Think about it. If you tired, how tired are you? Now, is it something that you're saying, or is it that you're putting yourself in a situation to keep seeing those things? But why? Is it something comfortable? Is it something comfortable inside that, or something that resonates with you, that keep you in that state of shame? Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about freedom from shame, and you can't let it go if you don't identify it, but then ask yourself, why is it okay? Here I am in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and I'm okay with this, but I don't like it. What you think about that, Kamille?
Very, very true. It's just, we take on those things, but again, I keep saying people don't take enough time to think about thinking. what you're actually thinking. So again, that's why if we've never dealt with our thought process, it's going to be really, really hard to deal with our thought process, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's why in all these years, because we have never taken the time to sit down and be still and be quiet and hear those, what we think and how we project that onto other people. And I'm just going to say this too. It happens a lot with kids. When the kids we have these kids and we're still dealing with shame about certain things, we put our kids in a mental prison. You know what I mean? And we put all of those things because we haven't dealt with our own thoughts about certain things. So when our kids are eating or they're doing this and we have these adverse reactions to them, and then we start telling them the same things that people told us that we were not okay with. And then we start traumatizing our own children due to the shame and the guilt and the trauma that we've experienced. It becomes a cycle. It becomes a cycle over and over. And so then again, we talked about, generational curses or choices or, what's passed on, but that becomes a cycle of a family full of shame. And it goes back to those when I talked about epigenetics before. It's the same thing with shame. Once you deal with it, there are markers in your body, obesity, addictions, depressions, mental illnesses that can be turned off if the environment is changed. If the environment is changed. And so we have to deal with, now that we know our eyes are open, we have an awareness, we need to start dealing with a lot of the shame and the hurt and the guilt and the traumas that we have so that we can stop this cycle. And I say cycle of mediocrity, because shame will put you in a box, in a mental prison, and the only thing you'll ever be is mediocre. And people are okay with just being average. Why? We have so much genius. We have so much intellect in our communities. We have so much intelligence. We create like no other. But people will take those gifts and talents because they're still dealing with the shame of who said they weren't going to be, don't know who they are, their self-worth, and they will put themselves in that little bitty box. And then all of those gifts and talents will die with them because they're just okay being mediocre.
You know what? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yes, so much. Ernest, he's easy to love. Yeah, okay. All right. Miss Johnson, she says, when you love yourself, you can recognize your own self-worth and recognize toxic people before they have a chance to affect you with negativity. You're absolutely right. So this is what I want you guys to think about. Think about what shame does, and you alluded to it earlier, but shame do create secrets. And those secrets is part of those generational quote unquote curses or whatever. What are you holding on to? And just to be completely honest, there was things in my family that I never knew. Now, if ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, I've been in the military, right? Getting ready to retire. Yeah. And for years, when I go to the medical facility or whatever to get checked up, they give me a list of questions and it says, do you have a history of a list of things? Me, no. I'm no on everything. Why? Because I'm A1. You understand? Not just that, no one has said anything. However, older I get, I'm starting to ask different questions and the right questions to the right people. Now I'm finding out, hey, we got a history of diabetes. You got a history of high blood pressure, right? Certain type of cancers. So think about that, because individuals view health or lack thereof as a weakness. They don't expose and share those things that can ultimately help someone else. So think about it. Here it is. If the women in my family has a history of breast cancer, don't you think that would have been good for me to know for my daughter? So that's selfish. You see what I'm saying? Or not just my daughter, even myself, because believe it or not, there's studies that show men can receive breast cancer as well. So don't you think that can help? Right. But if individuals jump around and don't say the things that they need to say and they avoid it, then they pass away. But they keep it hush hush because they don't want everybody, quote unquote, in their business. Look what you're doing because of those secrets. What you think, Kamille?
Yes, that medical thing is huge, and especially for those of us who have served. When I go to the doctors, they be like, "What did you do to your body?" Well, because there is this stigma of people who go to the doctor are weak, or if people have mental health issues, then they're weak. And I was actually having a conversation here recently when somebody was saying that, and I was like, "Look, let me stop you right there." That's why we have a lot of suicide rates, because people can't get the help that they need because they're considered weak. We have people in high places. It's not just young airmen. We're talking about generals and people who have been in like the
Yes.
most prestigious positions.
Mm-hmm.
And then because they're unable to deal with their feelings, they're unable to express those things. When you say, you have PTSD or something like that, then people are just like, oh my God. And then they're like, but you weren't even in combat. Like, how can you, like, first of all, you know what I mean? How are you going to tell me about my PTSD?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a shame that comes with it, or people that have to deal with certain things, going to the doctor a lot because of all of the stresses that we've had in our life. And so we have a lot of issues, but we do need to be able to say that. Like I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, my daughter was like, oh yeah, about her father's side of the family. I have no idea. That's a whole side that, she's going to have to figure out about her health history through, you know what I mean? And at some point I'll help her probably, but my side of the family too. And then the more I talk, the more I find certain things. The more I talk, the more I find certain things. I may have like symptoms of stuff, but not the actual thing, you know what I mean, that disease or that illness or whatever it is. But that means that I have to be more careful. I have to watch, more. And then I got to keep down my stress and everything too, so that, those things don't manifest, those markers don't turn on. And then I'm continuing to expose myself, so to speak, to those types of illnesses. But that shame that people have about, what a weakness is, or men, I had somebody else the other day, I don't ever cry. I can't cry. Men don't cry. I don't you need to cry. Crying is
purging.
It's purging. Yes. And I said, we have these emotions and you have tears for a reason, because they're meant to be shed. It's cleansing. Sometimes you just have to let it go. I said, because if you keep that stuff stuffed in, I said, that's when the anger comes. That's when the rage comes. And shame is one of the behavioral aspects of shame is anger and rage.
That's right.
And so you have to purge that. If you're not crying it out, you're not expressing your feelings, that has to go somewhere. And it comes out in those behaviors, and wonder why people have, are in abusive relationships, or wonder why people that just can't keep their temper. You have to purge. You are given those emotions and those tears for a reason. Let them go. Even if you let them go in the privacy of your own home, in the bathroom, in the shower, when you in there, let them go. Because if you don't, they're going to come out in other ways.
Yeah, they come out other ways.
Yeah, tears is going to be fists, holes in the walls. They're going to be stuff ripped down. They're going to be tables flipped over. It's going to be a TV thrown out of a thing. That's how those tears are going to come out. And those are all destructive ways when you can just allow yourself to be human. And we need to stop telling people how they are supposed to react to certain things, unless it's dangerous, of course, then we give them tools. But if they need to cry, let them cry. No shame in that. You suck up your tears and don't. And I was guilty of it with my kids too. But I had to take a step back. And then when people are in meetings and stuff and they have a breakdown, it's not because they're weak. That's just how they feel at the moment. They're going to get up, I promise you, and they're going to go and they're going to do their job, and they're going to do it to the best of their ability, and probably better than you can. But they have to release to keep from damaging the relationships, to keep from sabotaging their jobs, to keep from hurting other people, through words or actions, because they're angry. So you have to allow people to feel and to be human in every emotion. All of us have it. All of us have it.
Absolutely.
And we need to be able to express those, but learn how to do it in healthy ways.
Absolutely.
Just try it out.
Absolutely. Hey, so you're absolutely right. So let me give a shout out. I see Will. What's going on, brother? He says that PTSD situation is very common. You're absolutely right. And Miss Lily Wilson says being in the military for any length of time can be traumatizing for anyone, let alone someone who comes with issues from the past, right? That's how we get service members who end up on the news. Yo, yeah, listen. Triple, yes. That makes so much sense. And let's think about it this way, though, ladies and gentlemen. It's easy to see the shame from the outside looking in, okay, or inside looking out. But what about the inside looking in? What I mean by that, in full disclosure, I had a certain level of shame when I was divorced from my son's mother. And the reason why it was shameful is because I held on to the lack of the relationship I had with my father. See? Hey, it starts somewhere. I have to be able to know where the dots are connected, because if I could not do that, then that means I would repeat the same thing over and over without feeling anything. There is a root cause to certain things. So in order for me to deal with the lack of relationship with my son's mother and even my son that I have to build upon, I have to go to the root of it, meaning building a relationship with my father. You see? So what I'm asking you all is think about looking in from within. What is it that you have to do? What do you have to do? Because, I mean, here we are, me and Kamille. I mean, we can be master resilience trainers, coaches that help individuals to cope with things. But how are we coping? Y'all, I might be crazy as a Betsy bug up in here every day and up in here just, telling you what you should do and how to get your mind right. But I'm dealing with things every day. But I have to deal with them because I don't want to repeat a cycle and know what it is inside that I have to deal with. So what is it that you have to deal with? And you got to put your business out there, but I want you to think about the dots that you have to connect to get a different result. To get a different result moving forward. Today is Saturday, right on. It's the sanity check. How are you checking your own sanity? Or is there someone that you need to communicate with? License, maybe go to a therapist, maybe go to someone that don't know all your business, but they can help you deal with certain things, right? Not every time you can go to friends or family, but you need that external, but checking yourself. What you think, Kamille?
I think that's true. We talked about it too. Seth and I are able to come on here because we do deal with real life situations. Okay. We have done the counseling. We've not, and I'm saying that it's a done one and done thing, but as necessary, we go, you know what I mean? We've taken classes. We're master resilience trainers, and those skills that we teach, we utilize every day. You know what I mean? Every day there's a skill that I have to use. And so it is taking that, recognizing, that in ourselves, so that we can come to you guys authentically, honestly, being who we are, to be able to share experiences, not feel embarrassed about it. I'm kind of like with Seth, I was talking, I tell everybody all the time, I've been married 3 times, been divorced 3 times. There was a heavy sense of shame and guilt associated with that. And I had to sit down, and I cried more tears than, the River Nile can hold. But I had to sit down, and I had to go back and peel back the layers and figure out what happened in my life. Because I was like, I can't keep a relationship. My kids don't deserve this. I'm just a terrible person because I can't do X, Y, and Z. And what is it about me that I'm unlovable and all this kind of stuff? And I found out all that, I was kind of being a little bit hard on myself, in a lot of areas, but it boiled down to my choices. And why was I making those same choices over and over and over again? Because there was a lack somewhere. There was a lack somewhere. And so I had to peel back the onion and find out where that lack was so that I can refill that myself, and with that self-worth or whatever the case may be, what relationship was broken that caused me to continue to go and get into broken relationships after broken relationships, because they were broken before they even started, to be honest. If I'm honest, they were broken before they started. But it was something in me that those were the choices that I made, in those broken people, that I was seeking out something because I was kind of broken. So I was trying to fix something else, And so you attract these certain types of things. When you get a healing, you realize that you don't attract those things anymore. Some people keep trying to come, but you're like, nope, I'm not doing any more projects. You know what I'm saying?
You can't fix everybody.
And yes, I need somebody who's in a space where I am that I don't have to fix. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. And so we do have to go through and find, like Seth had to go find that it was the relationship with his father that had to be fixed. It was a little deeper not deeper for me, but a little different for me in terms of the relationships and things that happened. And so you do have to go back and confront that so that you don't repeat that cycle again. And then you don't put that on your children and they repeat that cycle again. My mom's come on here and already said about these relationships. She can look back to her mother and her mother's mother and her mother's mother's mother, you know what I mean? And see that there is a cycle of things that have happened, even through us, me being her child, that continue to repeat because nobody had ever talked about that thing. And so then we continue to, I guess, show these behaviors, expose our kids to it. Then they start repeating, and there's certain things that happen over and over and over again that keep us in these cycles. So you have to step back and you have to figure out what that thing is so you can stop it.
So you know what? Hey, Miss Jackie. Hey, how you doing, ma'am? And so, so first, I want to make sure everyone sees the number below. It's 618-792-6747 if you have a comment. And this is the Saturday Sanity Check, and we're talking about freedom from shame. And my brother said something. Now, watch this. I'm putting it up so everybody can dig this. So he says, if you held that in, he's talking about me and my father, our father, right? Raising this boy to a man would be so much harder. Our relationship with our father, bro, made me go even harder when raising my boys, my nephews, they're twins. So, and you're absolutely right. And he's done an outstanding job. However, because my brother and I had different relationships with my father, we were able to have different experiences. Now that we are men, I'm viewing things kind of different than my brother is. So, and ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking about freedom from shame. My shame that I had to let go of, not necessarily let go completely, but understand, is that dealing with shame is not the same for everyone. So I ask you, what is it that you may be dealing with that you may not get the same result as everyone else? Then what do you do? Because if you keep pushing an issue, that may continue to, you may repeat the same thing over and over again. It comes a point you have to say, you know what? I am no longer feeling this way. So I may not get the resolution that I need from that person or from the relationship, but I know that I have a different point of view now and I understand clearer. So what I don't want you guys to do, right? And this is just my suggestion. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm not licensed all the way, right? I might be clinically crazy a little, but think about it like this. What is it that you're doing that's not necessarily helping? You think it's helping, but it's not helping. It's actually doing more harm than good. Think about whatever relationship. It can be platonic. It can be, in a romantic relationship. Because of your shame, if you're trying to fix something, you're trying to fix something within other people, but it's based off of something inside or something in the past that you can't reach anymore. When do you let that go to live a different life? What you think about that, Kamille? Now, see, it's different though, true. Right? Ain't that crazy? Because sometimes we hold on to mess, you see?
And sometimes we think, they say there's two things that happen. Either you repeat it or you do the total opposite, right? But the reason is still the same. And sometimes even when you do better, it's coming from I'll say an altered state. You know what I mean? So even when you think you're going hard, and I'm not saying that your brother is not, don't get me wrong, Ernest out there, I'm not talking about that. But there's still certain things that you're unaware of that is the driving force that could have a negative effect on that, even though you're trying to be the opposite. Maybe that's when those parents overcompensate. You know what I mean? Or they want to do everything for their kid because their parent wasn't there or they didn't do anything. So then you stop, your kids are not getting the skills that they need to learn how to struggle or what it feels like not to have or to identify needs from wants. So we have to still, regardless, you have to deal with the root of your own issues because it comes out in your parenting. And when you think that you've done everything, and that's why a lot of parents are like, I gave them everything and I don't know why they still ended up.
That's the problem.
Yes, there are lessons that they missed because you tried to overcompensate because you didn't deal with the root of what was going on.
Hey, listen.
So that's so important to note. And I did the same thing. You know, my oldest daughter used to be the one, well, I'm calling my grandma. My mom be like, Kamille, why you don't get that? Because she don't need it. Like, Mom, no, you know, and she's like, you could give her whatever she wants to. Why are you withholding? You just, well, I couldn't give it. Just because you couldn't give us that thing doesn't mean that I have to give my kid. She needs to learn lessons too, just like I did.
You know Kamille, I mean? Kamille, look, let's talk about that because I'm glad you said that. And I'm sure individuals are out there that's listening right now. And shout out to you guys if you shared this. We do appreciate it. Thank you everyone for joining us in the Sanity Check. You said something that was so powerful and I had to come to terms with that. We all, not all, but I think we have experienced that. We want to be able to give our children what we did not have because of the past. But now that we can do it now, we want to shower. And just to talk about this real quick, I had to identify when I did that with my son. And it wasn't just me, it was my family, because my son not staying with me, we felt the best way to love him and to show love was to give. You dig? But it got to the point where that was the only time he would call. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Can I get, okay. And then he would call my grandmother. Then my mother, when she was alive, she'd say, hey, baby, I talked to your son. I said, okay, yeah, how you doing? He doing all right. So what's this iPhone 10 he want? What? That's when it dawned on me. I had to call him up. Look, hey, y'all, I had to call myself. Boy, I said, who you think you calling my mama your grandma? First of all, they missed birthdays. Couldn't even say hey. You feel me? Couldn't even say how you doing. You calling her for an iPhone? And then watch this. Ain't even got a job to pay the bill. Who gonna pay the bill? Nut.
Hello.
But see why? You see. So then I had to think about it. I created that environment. So it was last year. Had a conversation with him and I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I am sorry. And Ernest too, right? You did the same thing. Hey, uncle, you're right. I want X. So, but I had to apologize to him, say, son, listen, I'm sorry. You know, I love you. But I created this environment of giving. And I'm doing that because we don't have the full, 360 spectrum of a relationship. And I felt as though that's what was needed, but it's not, it's not. And it's okay. Like, we have it. And just because we have it don't mean you need it. You gonna be all right. Now, my job is to teach you how to get it. You see, that's just one part. And the thing, but what you think, Kamille?
I mean, that's true. And I saw Angela say you can still shower them and teach them at the same time. And that's true, but ain't nothing like experiencing some things, when you have to learn how to wait. Just because I have the money to buy it doesn't mean that I have the money to buy it, or that it's allotted for that thing. Sometimes you have to learn to earn. You know what I mean? Like, just because I can doesn't mean that
I should.
have to, or I should. You know what I mean? What have you done to earn that? Being my kid just ain't enough, because when you get out there, if you haven't learned those lessons and understand what the wait is, or deciding what's a need and a want, you'd be like, okay, well, you said you needed this, but you want this. Which one is more important? And then you go for the want. Now you still had a need. Well, mama, I need this. Well, you had a choice to make. So now you're gonna have to wait till the next time. You know what I mean? And there's different lessons in that. You could do what you want with your kids. I'm not telling you that. But what I'm saying is sometimes we have to get to the root of it. Why is it that we think that we have to give our kids everything? You know, why is it that we want to shower them or overcompensate? It's not that we were, neglected or didn't have all the time like that. But sometimes we just, because we're not dealing with the root of what's going on with us and the traumas that we have, we overcompensate in different areas.
Yes.
Not just the giving, but in different areas. So we have to really find the root of whatever that thing is and deal with that in us so that we don't perpetuate that in our children and continue those negative cycles. And it'll show up, maybe not in that kid, but maybe in the way they parent their kid. You know what I mean? So you have to be aware of that. But we're talking about all this shame and stuff and how it manifests differently, and this is part of it. And it really is dealing with the root of it. And, like I said, we'll talk about kind of how to dredge up all of that stuff and deal with that. But we do those things and we don't know where it comes from. And we're wondering why there's still some conflict, or things are not going all the way right, or we can't are not successful in certain areas, or we're so hesitant to do, or we pull ourselves back, or we do all of these things. And a lot of it is rooted in shame and guilt.
And yes,
and that's the bottom line.
Yeah. And you see what your mother put. She says, as a grandmom, I have changed roles, right? I don't have the responsibility of raising my grandchildren. My thoughts is that I spoiled them. And
she's honest.
Yeah, right. At least she's honest. At least she's honest. And but that's the deal, right? Being honest with ourselves, but then understanding there's a limit to us pouring, and then understand, follow me, figuratively speaking, where is the hose connected to?
Yes.
Think about what I'm saying. Think about the water hose. You know how we used to drink from the water hose. You know, the real water. I don't know why the water tastes better than anything in the store. Anyway, understand where that hose is connected to and why is it on, right? Why do you feel like you have to give from that angle, right? Because as long as that spigot is on, somebody going to be sipping from it. I said, hey, now, as long as it's on, people are going to sip from it. They're going to continue to drink. But you need to ask yourself, where is it coming from? And why is it on? But hey, let's go to your root causes, Miss Kamille. What is it that you have?
So again, just some of the root causes is excuse me, that childhood trauma, things that we've never dealt with, abandonment, abuse, watching our families go through certain abuse, or even poverty, just the environments that you're in, seeing childhood friends die, not being able to save them, being in a different space than they are. There's so many reasons, that shame happens. But I think the important thing is being still to figure out, again, the narrative in your mind that's keeping you in that mental prison, so that we can address those things. And it's being honest. And I have a few ideas, and I'm sure Seth does too, I know he does, of how to uncover that stuff. But that's the important part.
Well, go ahead.
We all have some sort of shame, but I'll just say one thing I had to do was journal. So I got to a point where I was so broken and so hurt. I just remember I would keep it together for work and come home, and I was just like there was just so many things I felt like, sense of failure. You get shame from that I failed at. And I just was like, okay. And so I started writing. And in my mind, as hard as it was so hard. I said, in this notebook, I am going to write down all my deepest, darkest secrets. I am not going to judge the thoughts as they come. I'm going to let them come, and I'm going to write them down. I was like, I'm not going to try to criticize it or excuse it away. This is how I feel. This is what I've done. This is what I've experienced. And I'm going to be 100% honest about it, and also honest about my part in it. I had to do that because it's an I thing with shame. I feel. I am not. So I had to be honest about my part in it. And so I would write, and I would cry, and I would write, and I would cry, and then sometimes I had to put it away. And what it did was it enabled me to be honest with myself. Yes, these things happened. Yes, I did these things happen. I did these things. And then when it was done, and I wrote, when I say journals, gone. I had to release it so that I can't go back and live in that. I had to release it. Now I think about some things and I know that they happen, but the shame associated with it is no longer there because I've admitted all these things happened. Yes, they are. And guess what? It's in the past and I cannot do anything to change it. But I'm going to change the narrative because I can look at my life now and see where I could have been as opposed to where I am. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful that I still have a chance to change my choices because life is a choice. Every day is a choice. I choose what my destiny is or how I want to live out my destiny for tomorrow. I choose what I want my life to look like for tomorrow. So I decided that I am not going to repeat those things or be in there's some such situations that you cannot really control when people, invade your space and things. But I'm choosing that no matter what mistakes I made in the past, it is not who I am today. It's not who I am today. And I'm not going to I've separated the events from the person. These things happened, but this is who I am today. And I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And I'm glad I'm not the same person I was 10, 15 years ago. But here I am, and I can make a better choice about who I want to be tomorrow, constantly, tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And so I took ownership of that this is my life, and no matter what happened, who did what, I can choose today who I want to be.
Absolutely.
So I had to let that go. So that was the first thing that I did. Listen, and then I had to write all those things down, all those things, and get rid of them.
And that's dope. But shout out to Manny. Hey, Diamond One, how you feeling, brother? He says, feeling this conversation as our personal failures find ways to reproduce, right? Hey, those that we love and care for, right, need to find ways to let it go and letting go. And that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. The shame, y'all, the shame. How do you do that? How do you let it go? And don't keep me, listen, ladies and gentlemen, please don't misconstrued the letting go of the shame, meaning as though it's not there anymore. It's still there because it's a part of you, part of that shame. Don't discredit it completely because that shame has created who you are. It builds resilience, believe it or not, but you have to learn how to cope and how to manage it. Right.
Well, let me say this.
Go ahead.
You can separate the shame. So you can let go of the shame. The shame is it has shaped who you are to this day. So that's just going to be there. The events that happened are going to be there. But the feeling of shame, you can let that go.
There it is.
Every time you think about it, you feel that deep sense of humiliation or embarrassment or for that thing. You can let that part of that thing go and be like, look, it happened. It happened. I probably wouldn't be who I am today had that not happened. However, I don't have to keep that same feeling of shame anymore because shame, again, affects our body, it affects our mental state and everything like that. So that feeling of attachment of the feeling of humiliation and embarrassment for that thing, you can let that go.
And that's the deal. Yes. And that's the key, ladies and gentlemen. That's the key. Stop being afraid. Listen, and so we're going to do this. If you don't know, I am very proud of where I come from, meaning from the east side of Detroit. But there are individuals, society, friends, family that put the negative aspects of being from Detroit on me and other individuals. Shout out to those that come from those underprivileged places, right? New York, down in the South, Alabama, whatever. The thing is, being proud of where you come from and who you are creates that. But you got to realize what we're talking about, shame, freedom from shame. We have to let go of the narrative, the negative narrative, and we have a choice to replace it. Say, damn, I'm from Detroit. Out of all the places, take that and say, damn, I'm from Detroit. Out of all the places, you feel me? Yeah. It's what we say to ourselves, not what people say. It's what we say to ourselves, and we can take that and flip everything. Dang, you so fat. Like, damn, I'm so fat. Phat.
Yes, pretty hot and tempting.
You dig it, right? So what do you guys, shout out to Chi-Town. Yes. Shout out to everywhere. No matter where you from, you are who you are because of where you are from. But remember this, you are going to be who you want to be and where you want to go based off of how you think.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, what skills you got, Kamille?
I would also say you got to forgive yourself for your past mistakes. We talked about it before, but you have to forgive yourself for your past mistakes. A lot of times you're like, oh, I should have done it differently, but you weren't in that mindset. You may not have been as mature. You probably made the best decision that you could have made with the mindset you were in back then. All right. Give yourself grace. Nobody is perfect. Everybody fails at something. Some of us more than others. You know what I mean? And I just don't let nobody guilt trip me because I'm human. I don't know what the next moment is going to bring. So I'm making the decisions based on what I know right now. Yes, we've done some things that we probably knew better than to do, but we did them and they're done. And you're still here and you still have a chance to make a better decision tomorrow. There is not a single person on the face of this earth that has gotten everything right. Everybody fails at something, whether we know what that is or not. And so we have to give ourselves grace and we have to forgive ourselves for those past mistakes and just vow to do better the next time. Mm-hmm. You know, try to be a better person every single day. You know what I mean? We don't know what we're about to walk into. We don't know what decisions we're going to make, and we don't know if they'll be the right decisions, but we can make them from a place of, I'm going to try to make a good decision based on the information that I have. And I just have to be okay with that. You know, because nobody ever gets it right all the time. A lot of us are lucky, so to speak, or we kind of fall through things and happen to make the right decision. It just works out for us. And in the end, we're like, whew, man, you know, I thought about doing it different. Glad I didn't. And then, you know, people only see the end result of that, but they don't see all the turmoil that went through or the bad decisions that were made before that. So give yourself grace. Forgive yourself for past mistakes. They're past in the past. There's nothing you can do about it. Let it go.
Yes, absolutely. I
have a couple more.
No, go ahead. What else you got? Well, here, look. Let me give a shout out to everyone that's commenting, right? And big Ernest, my brother over there. Forgiveness to your own individual self is key. You're absolutely right, y'all. You know what it is. And Miss Holly says, got to forgive yourself. I had to do this after I had my daughter. Hey, and look. With that being said, sometimes it takes something to help you out because you know what it's done to you. And you have to ask yourself, how much do I love this person? Do I want to put what I have inside on that individual? No, I don't. Now, let me go and see where this mess truly come from, right? You got to look, watch this. Let me see what is goes on up in this thing here, because I got my son, I got my daughter and everything. So like, for example, being again honest, of course, no father, all right? No father, can't speak for mothers, but no father, and I'm sure no mother really, want their daughters to be on the pole. Okay? Look, stay off the pole. And just don't be a hot ass mess. However, I have to make sure I understand what I may put off or don't put in to create that type of want as a father. You see? Hey, and then you said something else that made so much sense. We want to say, and sometimes, boo, got that right, don't know how. I want to see my daughter, my son, right, being right on time in life and say, I don't know how that happened because they didn't come with user's manuals, you dig? But something happened. However, in this growing process, I want to make sure I'm doing the things that I think is right and that I know is right so that I don't put the shame that I've had or that I grew up with on her. So then therefore, she feel as though she need to receive this type of attention somewhere else, right? Is it a lack of attention? Is it a lack of affirmation? You feel me? Is it a lack of here that now I'm imposing on my own seeds? What you think, Kamille? And we talked about that. What you think?
I was talking about it the other day, and sometimes it's something as simple as this. I was in a course the other day, and a guy was talking about, when your kids are, have these talents or whatever. So, and I was telling my mom, as our kids are growing up, right, we have an idea. We have these kids and we're like, we want them to be successful. We want them to do this, this, and this and that. Usually I would say the choices that we make for our children or who we want them to be are birthed out of probably something that we wish we were, right? Or that we were not able to do. So we put that pressure on our children. So this young individual, he was a talented football player, right? So his family wanted him to play football, go to college and play football. He has scholarships. He decided he didn't want to. He wanted to go and be a mechanic. And they were like, what? And I said, that's our problem. His passion is not in football. Hey. He may have had that talent. He may have been good at it. He was doing it to try to make y'all proud. But then he said, you know what? At the end of the day, I got to be happy. I have to be happy. And I want to be a mechanic. And they was like, no, we pushing. Well, he ain't going to be able to come. I said, the world eats them up enough. Why are you going to let the world eat them up and then they come home and get the same thing? Where's the love in that? Like when they come back, we have to accept that our children are different than who we are. Their purposes are different than ours. So when we start shaming them for being or living the life that they were purposed to live because we didn't understand that. We didn't take the time to understand that. Maybe somebody pushed us in. We done wasted thousands of dollars on degrees, years in school, working jobs that we can't stand to go to because somebody else thought that that was the measure of success. And we're going and we're struggling and we're doing the same things to our kids instead of fostering their passions, their likes, trying to find out what they're purposed to do. And then, kind of encouraging them and helping them along that way.
Kamille.
Our idea of what our kids are not that. And so we create that sense of shame that they're not living up to our expectations. We create that sense of shame that they won't be good enough because they didn't go to medical school and they wanted to be, or they didn't go to the NFL and they wanted to be a wrench turner. Baby, be the best wrench turner you can be. If that is your purpose and God gave you those gifts and that's what you're supposed to be doing to impact whoever it is, go do that, be happy, and be the wrench. We all need janitors.
Hey.
It's not a good job, but you got to know the janitorial way of life, what it takes in order. Maybe that person's supposed to own the biggest janitorial company in the U.S. You have to start from the ground to figure it out. That's a whole nother soapbox.
No, it ain't. No, because that's what we gonna do because it's still connected to shame. So, and I'm so glad you hit that on the head because sometimes we want to superimpose the things that we didn't do right or couldn't do on our kids. It's like those, what is it? The model moms for the little kids. What is it? You know what it is? The little the pageant moms. Listen, mama, God didn't bless you with all this here. Okay, we ain't saying what it is, but okay, now your baby might have it. Okay, for a minute, whatever. But the deal is that may not be what they love to do, and I am completely guilty of that because I did not know. There was things I was pushing on my daughter based off of what I thought she should do. Now, watch this. I helped to create her, but God, you see, hey, look at here. When I'm trying to tell her the plan for her life, what? Do you know how crazy that is? You heard the joke. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right? You go say, you got you. No, not it. But the deal is, I will put the things that I think she need to do or how she needs to go hard in certain things based off of my either thought process of being inadequate, see? Because I have to do. So since I have to do, you have to do. Yes. In reality, I'm pushing her in a direction that's not where she needs to be naturally. So I had to take a step back, right? Take a step back and say, you know what? Let me celebrate her successes just as much as if it was mine. Because ultimately it is. Y'all, do y'all hear what I'm trying to say? Leave your babies alone. All right. Not to the point where just let them do whatever they want to do. No, that ain't it. Keep them on the straight path. However, when you see that they have passion in things, and they're gonna bounce around because guess what? You did. Now
they're trying to figure it
they
out.
trying to figure it out.
To connect the dots.
Yes.
And how they're feeling. I used to say I let my oldest daughter, well, both my kids, I said I put them in every sport or whatever they wanted to do, right? So I would let them try it, and then if they didn't like it, then no harm, no foul. But they at least had the opportunity to
and experience
and see experience, right? And so my youngest daughter, I like softball, so I used to play and all that kind of stuff. And when I got in the Air Force, and I played and stuff like that. But I was like, I love softball. My youngest one, I put her in t-ball because my mom, I played t-ball when I was a kid, growing up playing baseball or whatever. And I put her in t-ball. My oldest one, she was cool. Everything was good. Put that youngest, she was that kid in the outfield picking the grass.
Didn't know
I was like, I'm like, this is my sport.
See?
And so then she gets up to the bat one time and she struck, it's on a tee.
See?
8 swings. And I'm like, come on, Ju. So the coach said, hey, just settle down for a minute. He was like, just take your time, breathe, keep your eye on the ball. And when you're ready, swing. So I'm recording it. And she's holding this thing and she's just staring at the teeth. And after about a couple minutes, I was like, swing the ball. She turned around, she said, he said, when I'm ready, then swing. And I was like,
shut your mouth.
Fell out, right? And so she finally hit the ball and she ran. And then it was like, Mom, I don't want to do this. Soccer, she walks off the field. I'm trying to put her in these sports because I love sports. She is an artistic kid.
See?
Music, give her any instrument. She's YouTubing and she's learning how to play it. So guitars, pianos, percussions, the things, marimbas, whatever it is, you give her a sheet of music or something and she can do it. And she's like, it's basically the same thing. What?
See?
She draws, she writes, she creates. And so that just wasn't her passion. Even though I'm passionate about sports, she was not.
You know what? And I'm so glad you said that because it made me think of my daughter. We put her in soccer. All right. And again, my past growing up is in high school. So I went to a vocational aeronautical school in Detroit. It's called Davis Aerospace Technical High School, where we were so small. We didn't even have a sport. Check this out. The only sport we had was chess club and drill team. I mean, out of line. Listen, it was so small. We had to go to other schools just to have fights. You feel me? Horrible. But nevertheless, now that I got my daughter, and my daughter, I was like, okay, cool. We're going to get her in sports. Boo, boo. Listen, she's the goalie. All right. She was like maybe 5. She's the goalie. Oh, and none of the kids really got extra ability, right, to get it in. Like some of them are good. Some of them are like the baby Hueys of the game. Like, listen, you 15 playing with these kids. That's it. But nevertheless, she's standing there. All she have to do, listen, and I mean the ball will roll 0.5 miles per hour. I'm looking at my baby. Hey, baby. Hey, all you got to do is stop it. She in the back doing the floss. What's that little thing? I'm like, mother, hey. And then she looking at me. She waving. No, you in the game. But I had to realize, hey, look, she's having fun.
Yes.
Fun. But for me, I'm a grown man. I'm like, yo, get that boy. And I'm talking, the parents right there, hey, they're just having fun. Shut up. Listen, my daughter bought that life. And she's not. And she wasn't. However, when it comes down to music, she loves it. And obviously me being the DJ and doing things with music, now I'm like, okay, I can dig it, right? So I can't put all that extra on my baby. And Lord, it's embarrassing. That ain't what she wanted to do. And she said, Daddy.
Still thinking about them embarrassing moments. My kid out there picking grass and running, hopping around.
Right. And want to play hopscotch with the kids. And so now we're putting what they're not doing. Shame. It's shameful on that. No, look, stop it. So now, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about freedom from shame. And don't watch this. Don't pick up other people's mess. Don't pick up other people's mess and be embarrassed, if you will, and shameful for them. That's them. Get out of their business. Think about it. Sometimes we subconsciously do that. We may see someone, listen, look, check this out. And I'm going to throw this out and then you can give your statements. But think about them people that's in Walmart. Listen, there's some folks that's in Walmart that be dressing kind of out of line. All right. You can Google it right now. You can see it. Okay. Do they embarrass you? See, hold on. See, wait, look, because look, some of them, and especially look, and look, we're gonna be completely honest. Some of them look like me, all right. Some of them, right? They brothers and sisters, but nevertheless, we're shopping in the same community. Some folks roll directly out of bed and go straight into Walmart. Yes. Do that embarrass you? See, come on, Kamille, look at your face. Look at your face. Look.
It used to more than it does now. Mm-hmm. I just said at one point, I was like, oh my God, well, it's not going to be me. Mm-hmm. So I don't own, and I'm going to tell you the truth, you guys. I don't own I own one pair of sweats because I said that I will never be able to get up and walk out the door and look like that.
See.
And so I just chose to get rid of all of my sweats so that I wouldn't even have the opportunity. The only pair I have is my UMUC ones that my mom bought me when I graduated from college. Mm-hmm. And that's the only pair of sweats that I have. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, if they can do whatever they want to do, but I'm going to represent me well.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I just said people are going to do what they want to do, and it's that their choice. If they're comfortable coming in with sweats or pajamas with flip-flops on, I mean, house shoes and, whatever rollers in their hair, then I don't know what's going on in their house and their life. So,
and that's the deal. Right. And that's what we're talking about, letting go of shame and not picking up everybody else's shame. All right. Mm-hmm. So, but Manny says twist to the communication, right? So it says our children, especially this generation, give up too easy and may need an extra push to see things through. No, you're absolutely right. Don't get me wrong. You're absolutely right. We do. However, it comes to a point where you push lightly but we understand, okay, look, I'm doing too much because now we see in their face, look, this isn't what they want. Now, don't get me wrong. We don't want to have them give up. You try this and then you give up. Now, I'll put pressure on my daughter, but not diamond pressure, if that makes sense. I'm putting the love. Hey, baby, life is not going to be this forgiving, right? And just because we got the money don't mean we just got the money for you to go around and do it and try to find out what it is that you want to do. But we have to understand when we don't want to, push them in the wrong way. So King said, huh?
Yeah. I was going to say, and I would make my kids, if they committed to that season, because I asked them if they wanted to try it, and I would make them try, and they had to complete the season because it's something in seeing it through. You might not like the first 2 times or whatever, but by the end of it, you might go, okay, let me stop. I'm sorry to all y'all women who feel attacked.
About your sweats. But look at what King says though, right? Hair wraps and house dress. Hey, come on, smell like fried chicken. Hey, now some people be out of line. Now, and I go and I say, I'm like, Lord, no, why we got to do it? And then in broad daylight, it's not like it's in the middle of the night because they're 24 hours. You doing this around lunchtime.
Y'all cutting up.
Yeah, y'all a mess.
Sweats. There's some joggers and stuff. Actually, I have to say 2 because I have a jogger set. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that was a personal choice for me. But they have some cute sweats out there. They got all kinds of pink and whatever.
Keep them at home, Kamille. Keep them at home.
It's just not for me. So, but anyway, so it is something about pushing your kids, and I make them see it through to make sure that, there's a commitment that goes along with it. I'm spending my money, and you said that you wanted to do it. I asked you first, so you have to stay committed for this season. If you don't like it after that season, then okay, we'll try something different. But in doing that, I did find what my kids like. My older daughter was good at softball. She was good. I made her do softball as she was playing softball, good at it. I made her do track and field as a punishment because of her grades. And I said, well, you're going to be in sports, but you're not going to do what you want to do. In softball, broke my heart because that's my sport. And she ended up doing very, very well at shot put and discus. And so she got a little European title over there for the high schoolers in Europe that she still holds to this day. But it ended up being something that she was actually passionate about, that she was actually very good at. Birthed out of, my punishment, but I was still able to, because I didn't just stop her from doing everything. Well, you can choose something else. And that's what she chose. And she ended up doing very well in it. And so, it's just that whole thing we have to find. We don't take enough time finding what our kids are good at and what they like and cultivating that. We keep putting our ideas on our kids and trying to push that and then get mad when they don't excel at it. So it's not fair for them. And it creates a sense of shame in our children that we need to stop.
That's right.
We need to stop. And we need to spend more time talking to our children to figure out what their interests are, what their passions are, what their true talents are. Because they may be good at a lot of things, but it may be one thing that they're really, really passionate about. And we need to take that time, have those conversations, and foster that so that they can grow and they don't have that sense of shame of not living up to what parents are, my parents wanted me to be. And now I'm doing something different and they're not proud of me because I didn't follow this, whatever. And then we could continue to create those cycles. So that's what that part is about. So
Yeah.
I know we got on the whole.
No, it's okay. No. And then just and before you give your tips, I want to go through some of these comments real quick. And Foot says coming in smelling like the desert deployment, man, you a mess. All right. And so King put out a good plug for, get your sweats at Order and what's that? Chaos Clothing.
Yes. Order and Chaos.
Okay, cool.
And that's the set that I have, and it is bomb.
Okay,
so.
Okay. And Miss Holly, she said something that makes some sense, right? There's no quitting until you finish. And I'll do the same thing with my daughter. Hey, listen, if you don't want to do this in the middle, you still going to the end of whatever that season is, right? And Ernest, he said he felt the same way when it came time to his son. Oh, I remember that conversation, right? Because he was in college and he said, look, I don't want to do this no more. Right. However, he's doing HVAC now and great at it, employee of the year, and he's about to have his own business. You get what I mean? So that's what it is. Letting go of our kids, our shame and imposing them on our kids. So Kamille, what list of things you have?
Okay, so Ernest, I'm with you. My daughter did 3 years of college and decided not to go back.
Damn.
And so, 3 years, and she's just like, that's not what I'm doing. So I had to let her go, and she has done very well since, and do her thing and live her life, and I'm okay with that. So the other thing I was going to say was allow yourself to be vulnerable. Sometimes you got to let your guard down. You have to be able to be honest. You have to be able to cry. You have to let people in so that they can help you to heal, identify those things, and then just be okay with just being vulnerable. You got to let them walls down because they're keeping out good stuff as well as bad stuff. So let them down, be vulnerable. And it's freeing. I always said, well, let me go back. It was this African proverb that I said, and it says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can no longer hurt you. You have to be vulnerable to get there. And then I also, in my vulnerability, I had to just be honest about all the things that, happened, was going on or whatever. And so I am able to say now, I'm like, there's nothing that anyone can tell me about me that I don't already know. Nothing anybody says is a shocker to me about me. And because of that, my mom said, look, you can lie on me, you can say what you want, it's not going to change the truth. I know the truth about who I am, and I'm okay with that because it made me the person that I am now. And so there's no shame in that. But I had to be vulnerable to say that there are some people that are going to try to bring up my past or something that I did or said or something like that. And I just have to be okay with that. That was me then. You guys ever see that meme that says, it's a lot of people out there that know a version of me that no longer exists. And that's just what it is. We all grow. Nobody is who they were years ago. And so I don't let that hold me back from who I'm supposed to be and to continue to get better. And so when I became vulnerable enough to say, okay, this is just who I am, flaws and all, it was such a freeing feeling. And it also allowed me to take back the power of who I am, the power of Kamille, that nothing you can say is going to surprise me because I did it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I did it. I know it, and I'm owning it. I apologized where I need to. I made amends. I forgave myself. I did whatever it took, and that was fine. And I'm okay with that. So it's nothing that people can say about me that surprises me. Mm-hmm. And so I have the power, again, to control whatever narrative goes in my mind. Nothing is a shocker. And then I was going to say, you got to uncover those hidden demons too, because sometimes we like to do the work on the surface, but there's a lot of stuff that we're still trying to hide. Mm-hmm. And it keeps popping up. So that journaling, that being completely honest in counseling and just saying those things just released all of that from me. And that burden was no longer there. And I feel so much lighter then I would, keep that thing is really heavy when you have a lot of stuff over the years, a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, a lot of, all these things, it gets really, really heavy. So you have to uncover that stuff and let it go. It's such a freeing feeling.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of peace that I can never explain. The peace that I got when I released all of that stuff. Ooh-wee. That's only the peace that I read about. And then when I felt it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what they're talking about. And then it allowed me to live out my purpose, to start being authentically me in everything that I did. And the response, I was kind of, some things I'm like, I wonder what people gonna say or whatever, but this is just who I am. And then the responses really were not what I expected. Right. People were like, I saw that in you all along. I was looking at this and you've always been, and I'm like, what? And so my vision of who I was different than what people were seeing in me. And I was holding myself back because of all of the trauma and all the things, the shame that I was carrying. But thankfully, there was still a light in me that people were drawn to. And they were like, we knew you could do this. We knew you could we always saw this. And I'm like, man, how come didn't nobody tell me?
And
I wish I would tell me earlier.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of times we can't wait for those external validations or words of affirmation. We have to know we need to know who we are. And like, man, we have to do the work. And like Manny said, honest feedback starts with you. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure we don't run too far over, but to make sure that you guys know that we will be here next week. And we appreciate all these comments and loves and everything. This is so dope. Hey, Kamille, where can individuals find you at?
So you can find me on Facebook, Kamille Stevenson Thomas. And then my website is up there, aspiretogrowhigher.com. I do have a book, and it's called Empowering Our Girls. And talking about all of that, I kind of went through a journey of lessons learned on my self-worth, on purpose, on friends, on relationships, on faith. And so I had to go through a little bit of journey, and there are some lessons that I learned that I wanted to give to other people to empower them, especially starting the younger our girls. It's for ages, all ages, and guys can get something out of it too. But it's a group of women who come together to share their stories of overcoming. So if you guys want it, you can just go to aspiretogrowhigher.com, and it is on there. So that's where you can find me. Right. And then I'm on IG, but that's just, I don't really use IG too much.
You don't really? Okay. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at setthespeaker.com if you're interested in any type of accountability coaching or just helping to get your mind right. Keep in mind, it's not traditional. It's not warm and fuzzy. It comes with a punch and an uppercut, but a hug around the neck. You dig it, with accountability. And also the book, The Black Collar Mindset. You can find it at theblackcollarmindset.com. All right. The art of strategic thinking. And it's so important for us to make sure that we have that in our lives, because we can't give and ask individuals to hold themselves accountable when we don't ourselves. So I want to thank you all. Thanks, Ernest. Thank you, Miss Keisha. How you doing? Hey, and look at Ernest. Hey, yes. Congrats on the book. This was awesome. Foots. Yes. Thank y'all for all the love and support. So we've been listening to your comments and everything. We've extended it from just an hour, especially when we have great conversations, and you all give a lot of good information. So thank you. And if there's anything that you would like us to talk about, feel free, give us comments and just reach out and excuse me, give us comments, say, hey, I think this is a good topic, and don't be afraid to call in, because if y'all see, the number's down below, and it's been there for an hour and a half, but y'all acting funny like you're scared to say what you want to say. But nevertheless, it's all good. All right. So we love you. We got anything else to add, Miss Kamille?
So I just love my shirt and my jewelry popping. I have some paparazzi dealers and some shirt dealers.
Oh, do you? Who on this paparazzi? Who on there selling paparazzi? Everybody selling that paparazzi.
Paparazzi, that's Holly Williamson is my paparazzi jewelry, and then Ordering Chaos clothing.
Okay, so, look at y'all, self plugs. Yeah. I can dig it.
Anyway, yeah, because they keep me looking cute on. So all my shirts and stuff, I usually get them, and my jewelry, I get it from them.
Right on. Okay.
Anyway,
we can dig it. That's what's up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, you guys have a great weekend and a great remainder of your week. But think about what we talked about, the shame. And what is it that you're going to do after we, click this off, that's going to help you release that shame so you can have a better and more fulfilling life. All right?
Let me say one more thing.
Yes.
Counseling, if you need counseling, don't be ashamed.
Yes.
Just be your best self. Dare to be different. I just had to step out and say, you know what? I am who I am, quirks and all, flaws and all. I love me. And I'm going to treat me like I love me. So dare to be different. You don't have to fit the mold of everybody else. When you start doing that, you become boring anyway. I don't want to be boring.
You're right.
Me, uniquely and authentically me. Changing your thinking, your perspective. Every Saturday we're on here, and this is a way to learn. We always throw some skills in here to help you to reframe your thinking or balance your thinking or any of those types of things. So please, the work starts, but just start. Don't wait, start. You don't want to waste another day of your life living with the shame of the past. Let it go. It's already in the past.
Absolutely.
Let it go so you can be the best you can be.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, she did speak about counseling. Don't be afraid to get a counselor that can dig you. I'm not saying that loosely. This is purposeful, right? Search around. Just because they have something fancy on the wall saying that they're licensed to talk to you or they're clinical to talk to you, make sure you connect with individuals that you can talk to and that can understand the issues that you may be going through, right? All right. So anyway, we're going to see y'all soon, and you enjoy your weekend. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.